Today, I want to share with you 15 important lessons that I've learned over the last 15 years of helping businesses grow. Now, these are battle tested, not theories. These are with real companies, real insights, real teams, and well over $300 million in revenue growth to prove it. And if you've ever felt stuck with your marketing results, if you've ever felt that growth was inconsistent, and if you're tired of chasing tactic after tactic without predictable results, do me a favor and lean into this conversation because I promise you, at least one of these insights will provide you a reframe on how you think about growth going forward. My name is Darrell Evans, and since the age of 20, I've started 6 companies. 3 of them went to zero. For those that are in the back of the room, that means they didn't work out. 3 of them did really well, though, including my current firm, MindShift Digital. For the last decade and a half, we've been helping businesses unlock predictable growth with digital marketing, now AI automation, and customer acquisition. So let's dive into these 15 lessons. Now, if you want to skip around, feel free to look in the description below, click on one of the links, and jump to the spot that you think you need the most. But I think any one of these 15 are worth your time. Let's start with the first section, which is the foundation of growth. Lesson number 1, strategy before tactics always wins. Most businesses rush into things like SEO, Google Ads, building funnels, posting on social media without clarifying their strategy. And in the book, The Art of War, it says tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat. Strategy helps you decide who we are, who we serve, where we should show up in the marketplace, why should they care, what makes us different, how will we reach them, what changes are in the market that we have to be prepared for, have we adjusted, what do we have to do to win. Once we nail these types of questions and many more, we can lay the foundation for how we're going to go into the market and win. The companies we've worked with over the last 15 years who don't do this work don't do well. Lesson number 2. Most businesses don't have a lead generation problem. They have a systems problem. CEOs tell me all the time, Darrell, we need more leads. It's like one of the number one things they say to us when they come to our firm to get help with growth. But the real problem isn't a lack of leads. It's actually a system to build awareness, to build trust, and then to get that trust to convert into revenue. In our agency now, we call that the trust flywheel. And without a system like that, you're really gambling on everything you do in marketing. So often frustrated CEOs, even CMOs, directors of marketing have done all the things, as they say, and yet it's still not working. They've invested the dollars, they've paid the salaries, they've hired the freelancers, they've hired the consultants, they've went to the workshops, they bought the webinars. You know the drill, and yet it's still not working. And that's because you haven't taken time to build a systematic approach that's repeated again and again and again. Lesson number 3, marketing is not about being loud. Don't let anybody fool you. It's about being clear, crystal clear. There's this phrase in marketing that says, if you confuse, you lose. Clarity beats noise every single time. Apple doesn't scream about gigabytes, hardware, pixels. They don't do that stuff. They just simply say it just works. The businesses that win communicate in plain language, compelling language that meets their buyers right where they are, in a language that they understand. So it cuts right through the noise. In the last 15 years, so often when we're optimizing growth for companies, we are undoing the complicated way that they say who they are, what they do, and how they do it so that their customers understand it. Sometimes the technical speak, the technical craft that you're in is not how your customer communicates. And once we simplify that and get it down to that simple language that they use, you'll be surprised how well your marketing works. Lesson number 4, your customer's attention is earned, not bought. Ads that you use in your marketing, and we're big fans of ads, don't get me wrong, they do get you in front of people, but they don't make that person care. It takes relevance, it takes resonance, and it takes you providing value. Let's think about it for just a moment. You scroll by and drive by and see on television hundreds, if not thousands of ads every single day. But when something speaks to the pain that you have or the desire that you seek, you stop, you pay attention, you give it your time, you give it your energy, and possibly even give it your money. That's not your budget that did the work necessarily. It's your ability to align with what that cold market is looking for. Other than that, they just scroll by and forget that you even existed, and you somehow think that your ads didn't work. Generally speaking, you have to step back. You have to make sure that you have the laundry list of problems, pains, concerns, frustrations, anxieties, all of the things that your buyer is interested in. And so many people don't want to do this work, especially not now when ChatGPT can seemingly spit out everything you can possibly need. ChatGPT is a great resource, but if you don't do this work, If you don't do the buyer persona work, if you don't do the empathy map work, if you don't clearly align every one of those problems and concerns that your buyer has, your marketing will just fly right by as if it was never seen, and your dollars will continue to feel wasted. Lesson number 5, again, is about paid ads. And this is that paid ads will amplify what's already working, but it won't fix what's broken in your offer structure, your funnel process, your customer sales acquisition journey. Listen, if something's not working organically already in your website, in your current business model, then do not think that ads are going to pour fire on it and make it work. All pouring gas on it is going to do is waste your money faster. The key is ads don't fix your messaging. Ads don't fix your positioning. They simply amplify what's already working. In our agency, we spend time working with companies who've already proven that they know how to sell something. They've already got product market fit, and we can then add fuel to their acquisition funnel with ads. Now, if you're a startup, you're thinking, well, Darrell, what about me? Right? There is a testing mechanism that we use in our agency that's extremely effective to test offer messaging, to test what your angles might be. But it cannot be done until you've done the work to really understand your product market fit, your buyer's journey, and what's going to take that perfectly cold, perfect prospect from a point of just seeing who you are to acquiring the product or service that you deliver. Lesson number 6, listen, the biggest competition you have right now is not another company or companies in your industry. I need you to consider the possibility that your number one competitor is your prospects in action. I was in a seminar about a year and a half ago in one of our advisory groups in our mastermind, and we had a speaker come in who had done some work or heard about some work done at Boston Consulting Group, Accenture, Harvard Business Review, and it was about B2B sales. And it said that about 38% of all B2B sales, are lost due to a prospect's inaction, meaning they did nothing. They didn't even go with your competitor. They did nothing, right? So apathy is killing way more deals today than your competitors ever will. So in our marketing, we have to find the triggering events. We have to find the internal urgency to move people from thinking into acting. The good news is you can do that if you've got the right understanding of the fears, frustration, doubts, worries, pains, concerns, the painting the picture of what their ideal outcome is. Not doing this the right way today is going to make your marketing feel like it's not working. Lesson number 7, decisions without data is going to get you in a rabbit hole of a disaster. Every business today has more than enough dashboards, more than enough reports, more than enough analytics. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. Facebook, Google, your HubSpot, your CRM, your email, you've got more than enough data. But the problem is does anyone understand what the data means? Everyone's flying around with these reports, but does anyone know what the key metrics are that are going to move the decision forward? You know, I was sitting in a meeting a couple months ago, and we had a tough decision to make. We were having some challenges on this one particular campaign, and we made a decision based on the numbers to do nothing, right? So the CEO was like, well, what are we going to do? And I said, nothing. They were like, how do you know we shouldn't do anything? I said, we just knew because we looked at the numbers. I'm not going to go through the whole story here. The bottom line is if you have data, but you don't know how to use it to make and drive effective decisions, then all those dashboards mean nothing. One of our clients, I remember growing by about 357% ROI simply because we looked at the numbers every single week and made decisions accordingly. So my question for you is, are you making decisions based on data, or is the overarching theme in the boardroom, I think we should do it this way? It's not the way it's going to work. Lesson number 8, consistency builds trust more than creativity. One great post every couple of months isn't going to get you trust in your marketplace, but showing up every single week, showing up with one single solid, steady piece of content on social, in your email, on your website, in YouTube, wherever you're checking this out, is what compounds over time. Coca-Cola didn't build a brand overnight. They've spent 100 years showing up. Consistency, familiarity, and trust lead to sales. The vast majority of our clients over the last 15 years will tell us something like, when I ask the question, why do people do business with you? And it'll say that because they know, like, and trust us. If that's true for your business, how do you show up consistently so you can build familiarity, so that you can build trust, so that you can convert more sales? Listen, the way buyers buy hasn't really changed. You can say the buyer's journey's changed. Sure. Yeah, we're in the messy middle, and yeah, we got AI. But at the end of the day, people are going to choose you because they believe in your ability to help them solve their problem. One of those aspects is trust. And if we reverse engineer it, all of the people that are telling us they don't want to post on social media, they don't want to write content, they don't want to follow Google's EEAT formula, it's just going to prolong your ability for your marketing to work. Lesson number 9. Remarketing, retargeting, whatever you want to call it, is really where your profit is hiding. Most people don't buy on the first click. They don't buy on the first trip to your store. They don't buy on the first trip to your website. They don't buy the first time they see your ad. They don't buy the first time they open your emails. Sometimes they don't do it on the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 20th, or 25th time. Remarketing is how you stay top of mind. It's a lesson I've learned since the 90s. And that was before we were using the internet for digital marketing. The goal is for you not to choose when they have to buy or be impatient about when they're going to buy. Your job is to be there when they're ready to buy. Too many businesses quit too soon. Marketers give up and think an ad campaign didn't work because the click went through and it didn't attribute to a sale. The bottom line is they've always said in the old adage, fortune is found in the follow-up. But so many of you just don't want to do the follow-up as long as it takes. Those who win, who make the most profit, master follow-up. Lesson number 10, and this is a bit controversial because some people believe today that you don't need a website because of AI, because of social media. Listen, your website is an employee of your organization. It is there to sell. It is there to nurture. It is there to inform. It is there to act as an asset, as an employee of your company, not just to look pretty. Websites are not art galleries. It's not just to showcase the pretty stuff that you do. It is designed so it can convert. Its job is to act as a team member who greets every person who comes there and tries to help them navigate to the thing that they need in your world. It should answer questions like, why should they trust you? Who are you? What do you do? Who do you serve? What's my next step if I want to learn more? And anything else that doesn't help that person move forward into your world is just decorated and cute stuff on a website. I've heard from companies who've spent $100,000 on websites in the last 15 years. And I ask them, how many leads have you generated in the last 6 months? And they'll tell me the website hasn't generated anything. And that's because we focused on the wrong thing. I like to say it's majoring in minor things. And I get a lot of pushback sometimes from CEOs and founders. They'll be like, yeah, but the website needs to look a certain kind of way. Here's the problem. Website design, I'm not against how good it needs to look. I'm interested in knowing is when a perfect stranger who is your perfect prospect shows up in your world, will they be able to navigate around your digital landscape, your digital store, and get what they need? Anything that doesn't allow them to do that was a waste of money in the website. Again, too many times people spend all this time in the boardroom, all this time with the creative folks, and everybody's got an opinion about the pixels and the colors and the images, but nobody's in the room talking about converting visitors to customers. That's where you need to spend your focus. Lesson number 11 is about social media. Social media is for connection, not just promotion. Too many businesses spend all their time creating social media, having social media managers, hiring somebody to post 12, 15, 18 times a day. If you look around the internet, you'll hear everyone saying that in order to please the algorithm, you got to post 3-4 times a day and you got to run this gamut of exercise. Listen, at the end of the day, social media is not a billboard. It's not where you post and publish everything that's on sale in your organization. It's where you have an opportunity to create valuable content, build an audience, install a conversation in your community so that people can connect with your brand and do what? Build a know, like, and trust factor with your brand. It isn't that you cannot use social media to promote anytime. That's not what I'm saying. But what I will say is the practical words today are post X number of times a day. You need to post when it's convenient for your business and on the cadence of consistency that we talked about earlier. But other than that, don't get caught up thinking that every time you post something, you should post about your real estate listing, or you should post about the type of insurance policy you sell, or the type of investment account that you think is best for your clients. You don't want to simply post about the product line that you sell. You want to invite people into your world so they can know, like, and trust your brand, and then they'll move to the place where they want to be convinced that having a conversation with you will matter. That'll lead to a conversion. Lesson number 12 has to do with content works when it creates a next step for the viewer. The next step isn't necessarily buying from you. The next step, if it's entertainment, it could be that they get a laugh. If it's information, it could mean that they read a blog post. It could mean that they watch a video. It could mean that your post moves them to an aha moment. I call it a moment of clarity. That could be the very next step in their journey. And so often we get caught up thinking that the post has to move someone to the buy line. And that's where people get confused and frustrated with content on social media. And here's the thing that I want you to consider. Every piece of content is a part of your digital catalog that forever will give an opportunity for a prospect to get to learn more about you. I have a funny saying that most of your best buyers are lurkers. They're not even in your world. They're not raising their hand. They're not clicking the buttons. They're not hitting like, comment, and share. I've seen this in 15 years. It's not about going viral. Most of you are not in the entertainment side. You're not trying to be Mr. Beast. The goal is, how are you creating a catalog that would build no like and trust factor when no one is watching? That's the key. Lesson number 13. Hear me on this. Simple conversion journeys beat complicated ones 9 out of 10 times, maybe 10 out of 10 times. Listen, I hear the word funnels out there all the time, and they're complex. And if you go through LinkedIn and you look around even this platform, you'll see people showing these mind maps of these 38 piece funnels that you got to do this and click that and close the NA. You got to sign up to NANN and Make and .com and Zapier and all this. Listen, all they're going to do is break when they start running. Simplicity is what scales. You don't need 12, 15, 32 steps when 3 will do. And I promise you that in the vast majority of our 15 years, 3, maybe 4-step processes work just fine, especially when you pair that with the fact that the vast majority of buyers are not ready to buy today. Once you accept that the vast majority of your prospects are not ready to buy today, if you look at the studies, I don't care if it's HubSpot, I don't care if it's Adobe, I don't care if it's Constant Contact, I don't care if it's Wharton Business School, they'll tell you that the vast majority of people, somewhere in the 95, 96% range, in most cases are not ready to buy today. But there was a study I learned 22 years ago that I've never forgotten. And I don't have the study anymore. I'd link it up if I did, but it goes like this. Of 100% of people that inquire or visit your world about your offer, about your product, about your service, here's the good news. Only 3, 4, 5% are ready to buy today. Here's the good news. 45 to 50% might buy in the next 6 to 12 to 18 months. That's where the money's found. That's where fortune's in the follow-up. So the key is don't overcomplicate your funnel when you know the vast majority of your buyers aren't buying today anyway. Right? That's just marketers taking your money. Complexity kills execution. Simplicity wins the day. Lesson 14 is one of my favorites, and it's one of the concepts we use in our model regularly, and that is execution speed beats perfect planning. You know, I've said for the last 15 years at many boardroom tables, many founder tables, many leadership groups, and many times with entrepreneurs who have just spent many months, weeks trying to plan the best thing. The problem is the business isn't won by the best plan. It's won by the fastest execution with the closest variables to where we want to be in the outcomes. Winners in our business, in marketing and business growth, they win by testing. They win by learning. They win by adjusting. They win by repeating. This game is a game of iteration. It's never a game of we got it right once and it's going to work forever. That's not how it works. What happens is all we do is procrastinate and don't do the thing that we can do, right? I think it was Jim Collins in Good to Great that said, perfect is the enemy of done. I think. We'll see if we can check that out and research and put the link in the bottom. But listen, we've got to get out of this paralysis of analysis and this ideation mode of how many times we can prepare a plan. The best plan is a plan that gets results so that you can find out what that data look like so you can then plan and iterate and go back at it again. It's the same way it works in sports. It's the same way it works in life. It's the same way it works in business. Lesson 15, growth comes when the CEO embraces that marketing as a leadership function is a driver of growth, not a cost center. You know, I think it was Peter Drucker who said marketing and innovation are the only two drivers of investment or growth in a company. Everything else is a cost. You know, it's interesting when you're the CEO, you cannot get away from the table when it's coming to the growth conversation. So many times in 15 years, I've seen the owner talk to me about, well, we hired this person, that person, this company, this person, this freelancer, this staff person. I outsourced it to my son. I outsourced it to my daughter because she's in college. She had free time. And they just gave away the mechanism called growth. You must own that. You can delegate it. You can partner with someone, but you can't just outsource that and walk away because you're the technician or you're great at something else in the business. The companies that thrive are led by CEOs who treat marketing as the engine for growth, not just an expense line. It's so often I've seen in 15 years where the industry has a problem or a challenge or the world has some sort of shakeup. And the first thing they think about cutting is marketing. And the reason that happens is because they haven't actually looked at marketing as the growth center that it is. It was just a line item during the times when things were good. There's a quote by Henry Ford, or at least it's attributed to Henry Ford. It says, the man who stops advertising to save money is like the man who tries to stop the clock to save time. That's what we mean perfectly when it comes to the CEO, the owner of a company, investing in growth so that the company never stalls. So there you have it. There's 15 lessons in my 15 years of being in the trenches with helping companies grow. If you take even 2 or 3 of these ideas today, seriously, I guarantee it'll shift the way your business grows going forward. Remember, growth isn't random. It's not luck. It's not about chasing the next shiny tactic. Growth comes when you put a strategy before the tactics, when you build systems that earn trust, and when you lead with clarity and consistency. If this has helped you in any kind of way, share it with another business owner who needs to hear it. If you have any questions, drop them down below in the comments and do me a favor. Tell me which of these 15 lessons hit you the most. Make sure you don't forget to subscribe so you never miss our next episode. And before you go, there's a couple of free gifts down in the description below. I'll see you next time. Take care. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that video, we got some more cool stuff right here or there, over there, somewhere. It might be down there in the description below. I'll see you next time.